Join me as I dive into some of the creepiest zombie mountain horror stories that are guaranteed to keep you up at night. Zombie horror stories have been a staple of popular culture for decades, captivating audiences with their chilling tales of survival and fear. From films like 28 Days Later to TV shows like The Walking Dead, the undead have become an integral part of our collective psyche, fascinating and terrifying us in equal measure. At the heart of these stories lies a deep-seated fear of the unknown, a primal fear that speaks to our most basic human instincts. The notion of an unstoppable, unrelenting force that cannot be reasoned with or placated taps into our deepest anxieties, forcing us to confront the fragility of human existence. But what is it about these stories that resonates so deeply with audiences? Is it the thrill of survival, the rush of adrenaline as we imagine ourselves in the shoes of the protagonists, fighting for our lives against an army of undead monsters? Or is it something more fundamental, a reflection of our own mortality and the impermanence of human life? Whatever the reason, one thing is certain: zombie horror stories have a way of getting under our skin, haunting our dreams, and keeping us up at night. Deep in the Appalachian Mountains, there's a legend about a group of friends who ventured into the woods, seeking thrills and adventure. What they found was something entirely different: a small town overrun by the undead, its inhabitants transformed into grotesque, flesh-eating monsters. The group soon discovered that the zombies weren't the only horrors lurking in the shadows. There was something even more sinister at play, a malevolent force that seemed to be controlling the undead, manipulating them like puppets on strings. As the group fought for their lives, they stumbled upon an abandoned church, its walls adorned with strange symbols and markings. It was there that they uncovered the dark history of the town, a tale of ancient rituals and forbidden knowledge that had unleashed a horror beyond their wildest nightmares. The group soon realized that they were trapped, surrounded by the undead and with no clear escape route. It was then that they stumbled upon a mysterious figure, a grizzled old man with a twisted grin and a penchant for telling tales. He regaled them with stories of the undead, of their origins and motivations, of the dark forces that drove them to commit such atrocities. And then, just as suddenly as he appeared, he vanished, leaving the group to fend for themselves against the hordes of undead. It was then that the group experienced the most terrifying moment of their lives, being trapped in a cramped, dimly lit cabin, surrounded by the undead, with no escape route in sight. The air was thick with tension, the anticipation palpable, as they waited for the inevitable to happen. Time seemed to slow down, the clock ticking away with agonizing slowness, as they prepared for the worst. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, everything was silent. The undead had vanished, the cabin was quiet, and the group was left to pick up the pieces of their shattered sanity. As we reflect on these chilling tales, we're forced to confront the darker aspects of human nature, the primal fears that lurk beneath the surface of our everyday lives. Zombie mountain horror stories may be fiction, but they tap into something deeper, a fear that's both universal and timeless. So, what's your favorite zombie story? Do you have a particular tale that sends shivers down your spine? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have any other horror themes you'd like to see explored in future videos, don't hesitate to suggest them. Until next time, stay scared.
In the heart of a remote mountain range, a group of friends sets out for a weekend hike, eager to escape the chaos of city life. They arrive at a dilapidated cabin rumored to be haunted, a relic from an old mining town that fell victim to a mysterious illness decades ago. Locals speak in hushed tones about the cursed miners who returned from the dead to haunt the mountain. As night falls, they gather around a fire, swapping ghost stories and sipping hot cocoa. One friend, Tom, suggests they explore the abandoned mine nearby. Despite the growing chill in the air, they decide to venture into the darkness, armed with flashlights and a sense of bravado. The mine is eerie, filled with the sounds of dripping water and the faint echo of their voices. Deeper inside, they discover a hidden chamber with the remnants of mining equipment. And something far more sinister. Bones litter the ground, and strange markings cover the walls, telling the story of a terrible fate that befell those who once toiled here. Suddenly they hear a low growl emanating from the shadows. Panic grips them as they realize they're not alone. The growl intensifies, and from the darkness emerge figures, Once miners, now twisted and grotesque, their eyes vacant and their movements jerky. The friends bolt back toward the entrance, but the mine seems to stretch endlessly, trapping them in a labyrinth of terror. As they flee, the undead miners close in, their hollow moans reverberating through the tunnels. One by one, the group becomes separated, each member facing their own nightmare. In the pitch-black corridors, they must confront their worst fears, battling the relentless zombies and their own fading hope of survival. Outside, the storm rages, sealing off any chance of escape. As dawn approaches, the remaining friends scramble back to the cabin, but the nightmare follows them. They barricade the doors, only to hear the thumping of dead bodies against the walls. In a final desperate stand, they realize that to escape the mountain, they must face the truth about the miner's curse. They must find a way to appease the restless spirits or risk becoming part of the undead themselves. As the sun rises, casting eerie shadows across the cabin, the friends make their choice. But in the mountains, some decisions come at a steep price, and the haunting echoes of the cursed miners may never truly